Time now for the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
That's right. Welcome to the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on WYKR, serving Northeast Vermont and Northwest New Hampshire. I'm Josh Smith, and if you've been itching to get outside, you're in the right spot. Today, Gary Moore is bringing on a special guest, Jason Batchelder of the Vermont Fish. He's the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Commissioner, for a straight talk conversation about what's happening out in the field this season, what the department is hearing from sportsmen and sportswomen, and what it means for families who hunt, fish, trap, and enjoy the woods and waters around here. We'll also keep you up to speed with our Snowmobile Trail Report for both sides of the river, so you can plan your next ride with a little more confidence. And before we wrap up, we'll check in with the Fairbanks Museum on their Outdoor Edge forecast. So we got another jam-packed hour, so we're going to jump right into it and buckle in, grab your tea, grab your drink, sit back, sit on the couch, and sit in your favorite chair, because this show is for you.
Good evening, and welcome to Thoughts Out on the Outdoors. My guest tonight is Jason Batchelder, Commissioner of Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Gary. It's great to be here.
I know this is a busy time of year for you with the legislature in session and so forth, so I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to our listeners and let them know what's going on in Vermont. But before we do, you have a varied background. You're a Vermont native, etc. How about telling our listeners something about yourself?
Well, thanks. And it's no trouble being here. I really look at this as an opportunity for me in the department, and happy to spend my time doing this, so thank you. One quick correction. I was born in Quebec.
Quebec?
I was born in Quebec, went to nursery school up there, in fact.
What town?
I was born in Pointe Claire up near Montreal, but I went to nursery school in Stansted.
Okay.
My folks
Stansted,
moving to Derby. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I was born up there, but I grew up, went to North Country, played soccer and baseball and all the normal things, and fished and hunted a lot. I joined the U.S. Coast Guard out of high school and spent 4 years around the country as an assistant navigator, ships and whatnot, and then came home and went to the University of Southern Maine, studied French, and then got my first real job as a natural resource instructor. Mark Scott hired me to work at Camp Kehoe as a camp counselor.
Yeah, down in Bombazine.
Yeah. And among, I had a bunch of jobs, but among those was a deputy warden out of there, worked up in Derby, and then got this job full-time in 2004. Oh, not this job. I got my warden job in 2004. And had 20 years as a state game warden. Wonderful career. I retired in 2022 as chief.
Well, let the listeners know where you generally served in the fishing game.
Sure. Great question. So I initially was down in Wilmington.
Okay.
And spent just a short time there. There was an opening up in Barrie, and so I moved up to Barrie, lived in Barrie City, and I patrolled that Orange, Northfield, Washington, North, that Montpelier area,
right.
Barrie.
Within sound of this radio station,
for sure. And I get over here quite a bit. I get over to Wells River quite a bit, and from Barrie, I went to Norwich, that district, Chelsea, Tunbridge. Had a great time. Fairly, certainly right down the road. Covered Bradford as well, and was up here quite a bit during that time. And then from there, I transferred to Eden, which was part of the Morrisville district.
Right.
Lived there. My wife got a job up in Newport. And then when we were living in Eden, the housing freed up in Morrisville. We moved there, and then we built a house in Elmore. This will be our 11th year living in Elmore. And after I moved to Elmore, the supervisor job came open, what we call lieutenant job.
Right.
Came open in St. Jay, and I applied for that. I was a field warden doing patrol work up until that point. And then the supervisor job came open, and I spent a couple years over in St. Johnsbury on Portland Street, had a great time over there. And then the chief's job came open in 2014, early 2014, and I applied for it and was lucky enough to get it. I did 8 years as chief, little over 8 years as chief.
Right. a really varied career, but
Yeah.
you've gotten around the state, and that's one of the reasons so many of our listeners know you, or at least know of you.
Sure.
You've served in many parts of the state.
Well, I owe them a lot. I've had a wonderful career and got to know a lot of wonderful Vermonters and others. So after I retired as chief warden, took a year off, was a stay-at-home dad, which I recommend. It was wonderful. And then came back as DEC commissioner back in 2023. And,
Right.
Worked for the agency for 2 years there. And then the Fish and Wildlife commissioner job came open last year after Andrea Shortsleeve had done such a wonderful job as interim. And I couldn't pass it up. I put in for that lateral transfer.
Oh, yeah.
And was very lucky to.
DEC was
have gotten
good,
it.
but your heart was in Fish and Wildlife.
I couldn't disagree with that. Yes.
Well, I'm sure the sportsmen of the state welcome you back.
Well, it's kind of you to say. I feel at home with Fish and Wildlife. Certainly not without its challenges, but I feel at home here.
You're absolutely correct, but you didn't have to take a long time to come up to speed. You already knew the issues, the people involved, and so forth. And you have a lot of credibility with the legislature. I hear that from many legislators.
Well, that's nice to hear. I feel as though having that law enforcement lens was super helpful. I do admit that some of the biological stuff I get out of the way, and I get out of the way for the law enforcement stuff too. I'm only there to help and guide, right? Make some policy. We have 5 wonderful directors who do an unbelievable job, but I do know the lay of the land a little better than I certainly did at DEC, which is a bonus.
Right. And, as commissioner, you should get it out of the way. You should hire good people, give them some direction, and let them do it.
Well, you would know. Yes. Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
Yeah. And
I wholly
you do
agree with
have
that
good
philosophy.
people.
Yeah, I certainly do. I'm very lucky.
Good.
Vermont is lucky.
Well, moving right along, there are a lot of issues before us right now. Tell me about what's hot in the legislature.
Sure. Probably something a lot of people have heard about is the variances that are being discussed around posted land and people's ability to post land.
Mm-hmm.
And this started with an effort that my staff and I underwent this past early fall when we saw a nuance in the legislature. In the statute that was causing a little bit of consternation around posting of land, and so we thought we would help with that. The effort that we put forth was simply clarifying a line that said what dated each year meant to people who post their land. We chose a date that we thought would give people a full 365 days of unconfusing posting time. So January 1 to December 1.
Right.
And the effort was not favorable to a lot of landowners and to some other folks too, and asking folks to post on January 1st, which was a suggestion. It wasn't change of rule or law. Was not the right choice, and I fully accept that. And so the legislature is looking at a couple of different avenues right now. One, allowing someone to post any day of the year that they want, which I think is the best choice, and allowing that date of registration with your town clerk to be the date of posting. And wardens seem to like it. Staff likes it. Most landowners I've talked to like it. There are some other efforts. I think there are 4 posted land bills going on at the moment. One is to do with purple paint, which we don't think is the best path forward for Vermonters.
Definitely not.
Works for some states, but I don't think it would work here. I think at the end of the day, landowners just want their land to be respected, and I think signs get us there. People know what a sign looks like. And we have a duty to the landowners and to hunters as well, to make neighborly access a possible thing, and not to take anything away from people who want to post. They certainly have that right, and we help them do it, and we send wardens to deal with people who disobey. Right.
Right.
And we make a good point of doing that. We want respect for land. But we are also beholden to open land, and I think more folks than hunters and anglers would agree that we value open land in a very serious way in Vermont.
Well, we're lucky here in the Northeast compared to the West and the Southwest, where the law is such that you can't go on any land, posted or not, without written permission of the landowner.
Correct.
And I know I spend a lot of time working in Texas and other Western states, and those of us in this part of the world are used to, if it doesn't have posting signs, you can go on it, whether you're hunting, fishing, hiking, or cross-country skiing. But that's not true in a lot of the U.S., and I hope we never get there in Vermont.
Me too. And I think those comparisons end pretty quickly when you get away from purple paint, even if it's not designated, right? You're not supposed to go on anybody's land for any reason. And in Vermont, we know our neighbors and we understand where people are coming from, and we do have a lot of respect for private land. Not that they don't in other states, right? They do. But this works for us the way we have it, and simply coming up with new ideas to make it easier or harder are something that we should look into very seriously before we make any big decisions.
Good. I think that's a good place for us to take a short break.
Sounds great.
It's a St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
With ice fishing here, make the most of your time on the frozen lakes with gear and live bait from R&L Archery in Barrie. From tip-ups and augers to all the bait and tackle you'll need, they've got you covered. Their expert team is ready to help you gear up for a great day on the ice. Visit them at 70 Smith Street in Barrie or online at rlarchery.com. R&L Archery, your trusted ice fishing headquarters.
Every business story starts small. As you share your story, it creates movement, and movement builds momentum. Your social media and website are the conduits for that story. It's about more than clicks and views. It's about creating connection, community, and opportunity to do business. It's time to tell your story. Go to northeastkingdomonline.com. Our local Vermont team can help you get more from your online media. Once again, that's northeastkingdomonline.com.
Miles Supply, your stop for all your general business products, paper towels, toilet paper, first aid kits, and more. Purchase your paper and soap products from Miles, and they'll install the dispensers for free. Do you own a salon, restaurant, coffee shop, or gym making a monthly run to the big box store for your business supplies? Save time with Miles Supply. Call today for a sales visit, 476-3963, or walk directly into their showroom, 143 Boynton Street next to Spalding High School. Miles Supply, family owned and building relationships since 1954.
Welcome back. This is Gary Moore with Thoughts on the Outdoors. With me today as my guest is Vermont Fish and Wildlife Commissioner Jason Batchelder. Jason, I've heard it called an area license, but there's some proposals floating out there that are causing some people to get a little excited.
Yeah, it's a name that we've settled on recently called the area license, and it's a proposal to right-size some user fee areas that we own as a department. This is not a legislative effort necessarily. It does have to go through the committees of jurisdiction. But this is an effort that the commissioner of the day, being me at the moment, has authority to do. And we can control fees on areas that we own, like Buck Lake. If there's a fee associated with Buck Lake, you want to have a wedding there, you pay us a fee. And we have the authority to charge that fee. Normally fees go through the legislature, which you likely know. But we have the ability to set fees on a few areas. And right now, one of the things that we feel we're lacking is the ability to capture the usage around fishing access areas. If you want to go up the road here and launch a kayak at the access area on 302, and you don't have a fishing license, you don't have a hunting license, and you don't have any intent to do any of those activities, it's free. If you have a fishing license or a hunting license or a trapping license, or you have a motorboat registration, you are currently paying for the maintenance of those areas. You're paying to acquire those areas. But paddlers get them for free.
Right.
And at this moment in time, with the ups and downs in the budget and the uncertainty, we're looking at ways to capture more fees. And that is simply the truth of it. And this is a license and not something that folks have to acquire. If you don't want to use that access area, you can walk 100 yards down the road, launch your kayak in the river free of charge, as long as the land's not posted, pertinent to our other conversation. But if you want to use our access areas right now, fishing, hunting, trapping license, or a motorboat registration would exempt you. And I know I'm mixing a little bit. This is not a rule yet.
Right.
This is something we're proposing. But those four things would exempt you in this rule if it passes. And right now we're simply looking to right size this user area. It's all user fee based,
Right.
and so it's a fairness effort for us, and it's obviously people that haven't been paying don't like it, and I'm painting with a broad brush, right? Some
Right.
people think it's a great idea, but people who have been accessing our water through the fishing access areas and not paying don't see any problem with it, and I completely get that, but we feel it's time to lean into rounding out this fairness in user fees.
It's only fair that those who are using something should pay, at least help pay for it.
It's right.
I know from my personal experience that I would dare say that down at Lake Maury, the only way to launch a boat there is the Fish and Wildlife Access. That over 50% of the boats that launch every day are water skiers or something. They're not fishermen.
Right.
But it's fishermen, the sportsmen, that their funds paid to build it and pay to maintain it.
That's right.
And, there are other bodies of water in a state like Lake Maury that are more known for recreation than fishing that have the same issues.
Very true, and we're attracting, and rightfully so, a demographic in Vermont that may not be moving here as we sit here today, moving here to hunt and fish, and which is wonderful, right? But looking at these access areas as a bunch of parking spaces, right? That's what we're paying for, is a bunch of parking spaces, right? Signage, mowing, plowing, parking spaces, and making sure the folks that are paying for this are being recognized for it, and the folks that are using it are paying for it. So that's that effort.
Right.
Maybe I'll talk a little bit about a budget as well.
Before you do,
okay.
I've got a question.
Sure.
Because we've been talking about the boat access.
Yes.
What about wildlife management areas? Fish and Wildlife owns a lot of land.
Yes.
Are there any issues with that?
So it's a great question. Initially, when we rolled out our proposal, we included wildlife management areas in the proposal. We got a lot of feedback from the public that we're not differentiating forest and parks lands from VTrans lands from fish and wildlife lands. So we felt we had to withdraw that portion of the effort, educate folks on the lands that we own particularly, because we do own a lot of land.
Right.
The state owns a lot of land. And folks do already pay for some usage of forest and parks land. They pay for some usage of other lands. But we initially saw this as a good idea, but we rapidly grew to understand it was a little bit confusing to folks who wanted to access our lands or fish or forest and parks lands and didn't know who they were paying. And some of those forest and parks lands are non-payer. If you go in, sort of like going into a lake and you're not using our access, right? You could go into the C.C. Putnam, not have to worry about a thing. But if you go into Elmore State Park, you have to pay. And it was confusing, and rightfully so. So we withdrew that wildlife management area portion of it. We'd like to go back to that at some point, but not at the moment.
Okay. Well, you've answered my question on that.
Yeah.
One more thing before we leave.
Sure.
This subject of fish and wildlife boating access, having been born and raised and lived for almost 80 years on the New Hampshire-Vermont border, there's quite a difference. Vermont had some foresight over the years to buy and build a lot of water access, fish and boat access.
Sure.
New Hampshire's had a different issue. There are a lot of bodies of water there that have been trouble for the sportsmen to get on. The only access is private or whatever, and now lakefront property, waterfront property is extremely expensive. So for New Hampshire or anybody else to try to buy land and build an access is ridiculously expensive. So if I just would like to make a point that Vermont is very lucky that going back over the last 75 years, that Fish and Game, now Fish and Wildlife, has been very proactive in obtaining and building boat access. All you can do is compare the two states and you'll see what I'm talking about.
We are very, very lucky. And you bring up a good point. So perhaps during your time with the department, or perhaps earlier, these stream bank parcels were acquired. So you may drive down along the White River and see a bunch of undeveloped land along these corridors where there's little pull-offs. And you don't know who owns them, but generally they're acceptable for fishing, accessing the boat, accessing by paddlecraft. A lot of that is Fish and Wildlife land that we purchased a long time ago. This area license would not apply to those stream bank management pieces. Just wanted to make that clear. That land is generally open land for water quality, for access, for riparian protection. But good point, and we are extremely lucky with the amount of foresight that folks had.
Well, I think it's important we have this discussion because you've been able to explain to me and our listeners, this is a subject that's being bandied around. A lot of people are talking about it without knowing much about it.
Sure.
It's more rumor than fact, and to understand what the actual proposals are, I think that's important. So,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Of course.
The legislature. Let's move on to that.
Sure. So one of our main tasks recently is to propose what we call the governor's recommend, or the governor's recommended budget to the legislature. How the governor would like to fund Fish and Wildlife and our staff and our efforts moving forward for fiscal year 27. And we've gotten to do that over the course of the last couple of weeks. Some of the most important things that we're looking to get funded are sort of continuances of our efforts toward relevancy and benchmarking of our department. One of those is a department study that's going to compare us to about 10 other states, New Hampshire hopefully being one of them, to make sure we're doing everything right. Or if other states are doing things that we don't know about, that we want to know about them. I've talked about demographics moving to Vermont that are not necessarily what we like to call hook and bullet, right? We're not all hook and bullet anymore. And studying what some other states have done to remain relevant to those constituencies is really important to us. That study is underway, and having the legislature aware of these efforts so they can perhaps help us be nimble and navigate some of the challenges that come out of these is important. And then a study looking into our fish culture section, sort of our hatchery expenses, right? Our hatcheries are among the best in the country, in case your listeners wanted to know. It's remarkable what these hatchery folks can do on a lean budget that they have. But studying other hatcheries, bringing in a consulting firm to study them in a very fine, detailed way is only responsible for us, and that's something that the legislature's helped us with.
Well, talking about hatchery, there's been some issues with Salisbury.
Salisbury, over the course of the last couple of years, those seem to be put to bed. We're very, very fortunate that we're moving on right now without Salisbury being a big concern.
Good.
Yeah, I'm with you. Very, very glad that that's behind us. But the legislature likes to study our budget. They have the power of the purse, right? They want to make sure that they're dispersing funds in the appropriate way. And so we go in and show them, this is our warden service budget, this is our wildlife budget, this is our fisheries budget, administration and outreach, and the commissioner's office budget as well. And so we go in and open the books and show them what we're doing and what we'd like to do. As I mentioned, funding is tight. Post-COVID life is expensive for everyone, and government expenditures are not exempt to any of that. We're optimistic that we're able to fund ourselves, given the amount of general fund and license fund and federal funds that we get at the moment. Our whole budget is around $31 million, very, very lean. So a lot of it goes into salaries and benefits. We don't have a whole lot of overhead, but that's what the legislature looks at when they're inviting us in to testify on our budget.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's time we take another break.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back.
It's the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
The Autosaver Group St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram asks, do your outdoor adventures take you to where you wish you had a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? At St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, explore their vast inventory of adventure-savvy four-wheel drives and all-wheel drive vehicles, ready for you to drive at home. Plus, every St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram deal includes the Big Deal Plus, which is a 2-year unlimited scheduled maintenance plan, which includes free state inspections for life. Stop in today in St. Johnsbury, Vermont, or shop St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram online at stjohnsburycdjr.com.
Steve here at Batchelder Carpentry. Check us out at vtcarpenter.com. Winter winds are chilly and white, but your kitchen's future should be bright. At Batchelder Carpentry, we get it right. Transforming spaces into sights. Cabinets gleam, counters invite. Cooking style, cooking delight. Don't hesitate. Let's design tonight. And once again, check us out at vtcarpenter.com.
Winter in Vermont is a great time to get outside and explore. It offers experiences for a wide range of abilities and interests. The Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department provides opportunities to take advantage of what the season offers. Visit vtfishandwildlife.com to plan your next winter adventure. You can sign up for a free ice fishing clinic, watch how-to videos, or find a wildlife management area near you for a quiet snowshoe stroll. Vermont Fish and Wildlife is here to help you get outside and experience the outdoors this winter.
Welcome back to Thoughts Out in the Outdoors. This is Gary Moore. My guest today is Vermont Fish and Wildlife Commissioner Jason Batchelder. We've been having some great conversations, and we've got a few more things we want to talk about. One of them is mountain lions.
Yeah, let's talk about mountain lions. So last year, I think in earnest is when this effort started, some folks approached the state of Vermont and the legislature to float the idea around a reintroduction of mountain lions. And initially, and I think still, that this is proposed to be a study, to look at the feasibility of what it would look like to get mountain lions back into the state. As we know, they were extirpated in the 1800s and used to be here, but through habitat and agricultural practices and folks living on the landscape, they were extirpated. And largely right from the Northeast. And so if you're interested, we wrote an op-ed last week and submitted it, and it's easily attainable, that shows our feelings about this reintroduction, or this reintroduction study, or even proposed reintroduction study if you want to get too far into the weeds. But our sentiments around it are varied, right? I think first and foremost, we would want to be on the right side of history here, and it's an exciting proposal to have this big apex predator back in the landscape. Who wouldn't be excited, right? But looking at it from a responsible angle, as wildlife managers, as farmers, as teachers and police, and you name the facet of society who would be affected by these predators on the landscape, no matter how exciting, we had to ask ourselves a couple things. Is it responsible? Is it responsible to put these creatures on the landscape when we know they feed on deer? Mm-hmm. They feed on deer, which is contentious in itself, but we have a healthy deer herd.
You think they might eat any sheep?
They certainly might. They might eat some sheep, they might eat some cows. But I think what they would do is they would cross roads and they would get killed. We have habitat connectivity that we're very proud of, but we are actively working on more connectivity. We know that real threats to wildlife are motor vehicle collisions, right, and habitat loss and habitat fragmentation. And looking at those efforts before we put these animals back on the landscape, it has to be our biggest charge, right? It has to be forefront of mind. And then looking at the neighborliness of doing something like this is another huge consideration for us. Being, you're a mile from the New Hampshire line or closer, right? And sure as you're born, if we put cats here, no matter if we put them in Elmore or we put them in Bennington, they're going to be ranging into New York and Massachusetts and New Hampshire and Quebec before you know it.
Right.
They're going to end up where they belong. And we feel if they belong here, they will make their way back, and we will manage them when they do. But putting them here puts the cart before the horse. And I think if you're interested in reading it, I believe
I have read it.
Well, there you go.
Paper,
if some of your constituents haven't seen it, I think it's called "Slow Down for Mountain Lions."
Then get it on your website.
It's on our website for sure. It's under our press releases, and it's in the Caledonia Record.
Right.
It's in the Barton Chronicle. Other places, yeah. But I think it shares our sentiments, and not to say that these folks wouldn't be great partners to work with. I think that they certainly have their hearts in the right place, and if they're wildlife managers who care about wildlife, which I know they do. Then their heart's in the right place. Just I would like a discussion and a conversation and a meaningful one But it's been fun to talk about and to think about.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt. We certainly want to make sure we're responsible wildlife managers at the end of the day, though.
It's gotten a lot of conversation on the street.
Yes.
It doesn't happen very often, but every now and then we read in the papers or see on TV in areas that do have mountain lions where someone was either injured or killed, usually a lone hiker or something like that.
Sure.
Right now, we don't have anything that's native here in Vermont that tends to maul people, unless you happen to corner a bear. But I mean, it's just
Almost never, right?
right.
Yeah, almost
Whereas mountain lions do that
Mm-hmm.
occasionally, and all you have to have it is once, and then you know what would happen.
never. Sure. Absolutely. All considerations. And I found it really remarkable to think about any member of society, you name it. You name a member of society, they would be affected by this, right?
Right.
As all people are affected by wildlife and wildlife management. But to look at any aspect of life in Vermont, it would be affected in some way, and something we have to be aware of and manage for.
Well, I have read what you put out. I thought it was well done and thoughtful.
Well, thank you.
And you know what? It is important. So much about wildlife is emotional. We went through that with the first antler season
Yes.
back in the late 70s. You know, I think what you put out is well reasoned and will help keep the conversation at the level it should be.
Sure.
And we do need to have those conversations.
Absolutely, and I'm really looking forward to them. I think something else that your listeners might be interested in is April 18th down in the town of Pollitt, we're going to have a commemoration of the reintroduction of wild turkeys, which could be considered our greatest success story as an agency. On that day, we're going to invite anyone who would like to come. We're going to invite some folks who we feel were very involved, acutely involved, department staff and National Wildlife Turkey Federation staff, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service staff, National Shooting Sports Foundation staff, some folks who are going to be at a turkey calling contest up the road at Camp Kehoe that day. We've invited the governor. We've got a commitment from the lieutenant governor and some senators, some legislators, certainly some department staff, and I'll be there to recognize this day. And we're gonna place a plaque permanently on the rail trail in the town of Pollitt,
Okay.
with the town of Pollitt's assistance and blessing. We've been working with Rose down there. We've been working with Representative Pritchard down there. All been wonderful partners in helping us commemorate this effort, which we all see the benefits of today. And I wanted to make a little selfish plug there to invite
Great.
anybody that would like to come. It'd be a wonderful day.
What is the date?
It's April 18th.
That's a
And
Saturday,
It's
probably?
a Saturday, yep. And it's the weekend before Youth Turkey Weekend. And so it's the Saturday before Youth Turkey. So I know it's also the beginning of school break for some families. Maybe a good way to start your vacation on the way south if you're headed that way. But stand by for some press. We're gonna push out a press release here
Great.
shortly and get some.
But listeners, you heard it here first.
You certainly did. You certainly did. And thanks for helping me get that word
It
out.
it's amazing how well the turkey restoration program has gone, far beyond what most people thought would happen. There are turkeys in every town in the state, and most of them in large numbers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the way to the Canadian border, and I'm sure some of them go back to your birthplace.
Absolutely. And you can in the press
Customs
release.
doesn't bother them, right?
That's right. You can look at our press release, and it's going to list some of the places where the Vermont turkeys, once they were reestablished, ended up going.
Oh, yeah.
And they went to Europe. They went to
They went
Canada.
to Germany.
Yeah, they went to Germany. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I know some states took them as well, but
Right.
Ontario took them, and I know they strayed into Quebec, and I think New Hampshire and Maine were also
Yeah.
beneficiaries.
Well, but we trapped them and sent them to several states.
Yes. Yeah.
But I do remember Germany because that was a big deal,
I'll bet it was.
shipping Vermont turkeys to Germany.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your hand in that as well. I know you
Well,
get to see it.
We're close to running out of time, Jason. What else would you like to tell our listeners?
Well, I like to just say a big thanks to all the folks who support the Fish and Wildlife Department and the agency. We're a small organization. We feel we fight way above our weight class on a small budget, from biologists to technicians to game wardens. I think that when you're talking to a department employee, you're talking to a vocationally driven lifetime employee of that department, who usually stays 20, 30, 40 years.
How long's John Hall been there?
I think it was 1968 he got there, so coming on 50 years.
Yeah.
Would that be right? 60 years, coming on 60 years?
60 years.
So 68 would be 60 years coming up. Yeah, and we'll certainly be there at that Turkey Restoration Day if I have anything to say about it.
But you're right. I mean, I know a lot of them. They're very dedicated, long-term public servants.
Yes.
Who really believe in what they do.
They sure
That's
do.
important.
It is, and it's worth noting that I realize it can be an onerous ask to buy a license every year for some of the wildlife that we enjoy. But even a fishing license is returned to us through federal return dollars and acts as financial aid to the state of Vermont. And if you spend 20, sometimes we can get back 60. So your money is well spent, and we dedicate it wholeheartedly to wildlife management and the folks that make that possible. So I just wanted to say thank you to the constituency, and it really means a lot to be supported by them.
And those of us who are hunters or fishermen, we couldn't participate in our favorite sports without the landowners giving us permission. And we
well-placed.
We hunt and fish on a lot of lands that are owned by people that don't hunt or fish.
That's right.
But they allow us there. And, it's important, as you said earlier, that we respect the land and the landowners. Whether we're hunting, fishing, hiking, cross-country skiing, or whatever we're doing, one bad apple can cause that land to be posted and none of us can use it again.
Such a great point. And we do owe them most of what we enjoy today at a place where we're about 80% private land. We couldn't be anywhere without them. So thank you
Jason,
so much.
our time is about up. I thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to come talk with us. I hope you'll come back again.
I would love that, and thank you for the time.
With that, it's time to say goodnight.
And that was Gary Moore on his segment Thoughts on the Out of Doors. And he would talk to Jason Batchelder, who is the Vermont and Fish Wildlife Commissioner for here in Vermont. Now, coming up next, before you hitch up the sled, we've got the Snowmobile Trail Report. Conditions and updates from both Vermont and New Hampshire. So you'll know what you're rolling into on either side of the river coming up right after these important messages.
It's a St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
With ice fishing here, make the most of your time on the frozen lakes with gear and live bait from R&L Archery in Barrie. From tip-ups and augers to all the bait and tackle you'll need, they've got you covered. Their expert team is ready to help you gear up for a great day on the ice. Visit them at 70 Smith Street in Barrie or online at rlarchery.com. R&L Archery, your trusted ice fishing headquarters. All right, we are ready for our New Hampshire Snowmobile Trail Report, and we have with us in the studio once again Dan Ingerson, who is the Vice President of the Connecticut Valley Snowmobile Club.
Hello.
How's it going, Dan?
It's going great.
So, you had a great poker run it just happened last weekend.
We did.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people there. We did the poker run and also our radar run.
Okay. So what's the difference between a radar run and a poker run?
So the poker run, you have 5 stops, and each stop we have a bucket with a hole punch that has a different symbol on it.
Okay.
So we had 27 miles, so every 5 to 10 miles we had a punch.
Okay. All right.
And then when they came back, they could do the radar run, which we had probably a 60-foot wide track by 1,000 feet.
Okay.
So the groomer was parked at 500 feet, and we just let them go.
Wow. Okay. And you're here in the studio, and you are wearing a interesting hat.
I am.
Yeah.
I had a Clunker Sled Classic hat made to see if I could get any buzz on it.
Yeah.
And I will have some at the track for purchase.
Wow. It is a gorgeous looking hat.
Yeah, Green Mountain Monogram did a
Yeah.
great job.
Yep. Yeah. Great. Yes. They're amazing. So it's Green Mountain Merchandise now.
Oh.
They changed their name.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. See. Yeah. And so talk to us a little bit about what's happening this weekend then.
So this weekend is the Clunker Sled Classic. It's going to be held at Bear Ridge Speedway, Kidder Road in Bradford, Vermont. Gates open at 7 a.m. Green flag will be at 10:30 a.m.
Okay. I heard ads about that on the radio.
Yep.
Yeah.
I made sure this year we would advertise.
And how's the trails looking?
Trails are awesome.
Yeah.
If you're not out there, register your machines and get out there. They're the best they've been in 10 years.
And it's amazing because this is the time of year where it's not as frigid, so it's gorgeous to be out on the trails right now too.
Oh yeah. Today would have been a warm day for wearing heavy clothes, but the snow still has coolness to it to
Right.
cool your machines.
Yeah. And remind people, how many miles of trails does the Connecticut Valley Snowmobile Club cover?
We have 67 miles.
Wow. And where do they kind of go off towards?
So we start all the way down in Glencliff, New Hampshire, and then go up to Bath, New Hampshire. Sneak out towards West Bath, that's 103. And then we have a trail that sneaks out to Landaff, that's 105.
Okay. And remind people some of the do's and don'ts of riding in the trails.
Do not go off the trail because we lose landowners. We had a poker run, radar run. Someone decided they needed to go off trail and go past the signs, play around in a farmer's field. So now we have jeopardy of losing a trail, and it's the main route.
Wow. Yeah.
So if we lose that, have fun. You'll go up to come up to where we take over, and you'll turn around and go back.
Right.
You won't have to go through.
Right. Yeah. And how often do you think the trails are going to be good until we probably have another month or so left, right? Or is that
We're supposed to get some snow tonight, and then Friday night, we're hoping it doesn't snow, but they're saying 1 to 3.
wow? Okay. That'll be good for. I remember last year when you were talking about doing the Clunker Sled Classic, you're looking at getting a snow machine.
Yes, I built a snow gun, but I haven't had to use it this year because Mother Nature had frigid temperatures and every snowstorm stayed.
Right. Yeah. And remind people too, then, Dan, that if people want to kind of learn more and kind of follow the updates of the Connecticut Valley Snowmobile Club, you guys have a website, right?
We have a website. It's CT Valley Snowmobile Club .com.
Right.
And then we have our Facebook page at Connecticut Valley Snowmobile Club. And then we have a Clunker page. It's Clunker Sled Classic on the Facebook.
Okay. Excellent. All right. And we're talking to Dan Ingerson, who is the vice president of the Connecticut Valley Snowmobile Club. Dan, I always like hearing these updates. Sounds like it's been a fantastic year for snowmobilers.
It is. It's crazy. You could go from Mass all the way to Canada this year.
Wow.
In both states.
Wow. Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you.
It is now that part of the show where we get to talk to Gary Lamberton, who is the trail master for the 302 Buckaroos. Gary, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Excellent. And so some updates. How did the Dick Page ride-in go last weekend?
Oh, it was good. What a difference. Nice weather, lots of snow makes in a ride-in. We had 192 chickens sold out in an hour and 15 minutes. Fire department did a wonderful job. The chicken came out great. All the people who made the desserts did a wonderful job. Led lots of help. Went off without a hitch. It was great. Lots of sleds, lots of people driving in. Lots of landowners showed up and got their free meal. It was good. Wonderful day.
Yeah, and so remind people that who missed it. I mean, you had the chicken, you had all the fixins. What you had, was it potato salad?
Yeah, beans
too?
and coleslaw
Nice.
and rolls. Then there's cupcakes and brownies for dessert and coffee and lemonade. And we hold it right at the highway garage, so there's lots of space, lots of parking, and we have a groom trail right into the parking lot.
Nice. Wow. And it sounds as though we're going to be getting some snow this weekend as well.
That's what they tell me. It's great. I think we'll be riding into March this year for the first time in a long time.
And we talked to Dan Ingerson, who was the vice president over at the Connecticut Valley Snowmobile Club, and he mentioned that it is possible to go from Massachusetts all the way to the Canadian border on a snowmobile now.
It is. That is something, a dream of mine to be able to do. We've been talking about it, the groups I ride with, about doing that. And, you follow Route 5 up through, and you come up kind of on the west side of the state, then you cross over towards Randolph, and you come up into the Northeast Kingdom, all the way up to where I have a camp in Naval, Vermont. It's a popular area.
So remind people, too, how many miles of trails does the Buckaroos cover?
We have 60, and I have some pre-news we hope to have happen. I had a local resident in town, business owner, who came to me and says, hey, I got some land that I'd really like enjoying with people, and we have some trails, and I'd really love to share this with more people. And what would you think about making some of my trails into vast trails? So we went out and went for a ride, and we're hoping to make it happen for next year to be able to add another 3 or 4 scenic miles to our system. So get us up over 60 maybe.
Ooh, so that's an exclusive announcement. You haven't said where yet, though, so you're kind of
share that yet.
You're dangling the carrot a little bit there, Gary.
Yeah, we'll see if it happens.
Okay,
but we're excited.
And what's the report on your trails? Everything still green?
Oh yeah, everything's great. Jesse's doing a great job out there all the time, keeping things smooth. It's always perfect. He's off of it all the time, and done a wonderful. It's nice and wide, and just everybody's loving it. And Upper Valley Grill seems to be busy all the time, so he's getting lots of business. So it's been a perfect winter. I couldn't ask for anything different.
Wow, I know. And so, for folks that are looking to kind of get out this weekend, what's the best place they could kind of start off on to get on some of those Buckaroo trails?
Yeah, Bill's always got some parking spots right there at the grill where you can have food and gas right there. The big parking lot is up on 302 west of there, called Butterfield. On the height of the lands, about miles to the west on 302. If that for some reason is full, you can come back, go out 232 towards Lake Groton, and about 4 or 5 miles out there towards the New Discovery Campground. There's a small parking lot called the Northern Parking Lot on the left-hand side between the turn to Owl's Head. There's no sign there. You just have to know where it is. But it's for the sharp turn by New Discovery Campground. There's a parking spot there.
Excellent. And any comments to our listeners?
It's been a great winter. If you have not been out, go by TMA online at vtvast.org. Join the Buckaroos at 302 and get out there. We've still got more weeks to go. Even if you're seeing it start to melt in the south, we still got snow in Groton, and I'm expecting it to still go for another 2 or 3 weeks.
All right, excellent. So next time we'll talk then, Gary, is going to be our March 5th show. So we'll stay tuned to see how the trails are looking in first week of March.
That's right. That would be great.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, still ahead, we'll check in with the Fairbanks Museum Outdoor Edge forecast with Mark Breen. It's going to be a quick look at what Mother Nature's got planned, so you can pick the best window to get outside and stay comfortable doing it. Coming up right after these important messages.
It's the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
You've picked the paint colors, maybe even sketched a layout on the back of an envelope, or made the playlist for your grand opening. But without a design, it's just a dream. Riverside Design Works in Bradford makes those dreams real for families and small businesses across the Upper Valley. Affordable, functional, and community-focused, We build for your needs and within your budget. But heads up, the 2026 construction season is booking fast. If you want shovels in the ground next year, you need plans today. Keep it simple. Riverside Design Works. Smart choices, reliable results.
It's a St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
The Autosaver Group St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram asks, do your outdoor adventures take you to where you wish you had a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? At St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, explore their vast inventory of adventure-savvy four-wheel drives and all-wheel drive vehicles ready for you to drive at home. Plus, every St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram deal includes the Big Deal Plus, which is a 2-year unlimited scheduled maintenance plan, which includes free state inspections for life. Stop in today in St. Johnsbury, Vermont, or shop St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram online at stjohnsburycdjr.com.
Winter in Vermont is a great time to get outside and explore. It offers experiences for a wide range of abilities and interests. The Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department provides opportunities to take advantage of what the season offers. Visit vtfishandwildlife.com to plan your next winter adventure. You can sign up for a free ice fishing clinic, watch how-to videos, or find a wildlife management area near you for a quiet snowshoe stroll. Vermont Fish and Wildlife is here to help you get outside and experience the outdoors this winter.
I'm Mark Breen. Welcome to the Outdoor Edge Forecast. Hopefully, you've been able to take advantage of the moderation in temperatures this week, the snow getting a little soft and taking a beating on south-facing slopes, so nothing out of the ordinary. This time of year, on the average, snow reaches its greatest depth, though that varies greatly through the winter and from one year to the next. We've had dependable snow since mid-January, and good news for those planning on some trail riding or some downhill stuff. More snow is on the way later tomorrow into Saturday, potentially during the middle to end of next week as well. The sun is much stronger this time of year, equal to the middle of October. Obviously, it's not like summer sunshine, but we've gained 2 hours of daylight, and the sun is higher in the sky, adding to the energy. You can easily feel it on a sunny afternoon. Naturally, this increases over the next several weeks, so we'll tend to see the snow decrease in the valleys, but still increase over the hills into the middle of March. Obviously, a big snowstorm or a thaw will change that considerably, but we don't see any big shift in the weather pattern through early to mid-March, and it's nearly impossible to predict any big snowstorm too far in advance. We can offer more details into early next week, with snow arriving later tomorrow afternoon, becoming moderate to locally heavy, totals of 5 to 8 inches as it winds down on Saturday. This will be a wetter snow, which is good for the trails because it adds up, but it won't be as easy to clean up. I should mention a storm well to our south Sunday night, just in case it suddenly shifts north, but the chances of that are low. Lots of clouds linger Sunday into early next week. Nights in the teens, dropping to the single numbers on any night that clears out. Days mostly recovering to near 32, close to average for the last week of February. The next storm appears to also feature snow sometime in the Wednesday or Thursday time frame. Now back to the forecast through this weekend, which includes winter weather advisories Friday afternoon into Saturday morning. Tonight, any clear skies will give way to clouds, lows in the teens. Friday, any early sun giving way to more clouds, with snow developing mid to late afternoon in the 30s. Friday night, snow likely. A few to several inches possible. Totals 5 to 8 inches, lows 20 to 25. Saturday, occasional light snow and snow showers diminishing. Highs upper 20s and low 30s. Saturday night, periods of clouds, any snow showers ending, lows in the upper single numbers and low teens. And Sunday, still a lot of clouds, limited periods of sun in the upper 20s and low 30s once again. That's your Outdoor Edge forecast. I'm Fairbanks Museum meteorologist Mark Breen. Good luck and enjoy our great outdoors.
All right. Well, that is all right, that's going to be a wrap. That's going to do it for this week's St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge. Big thanks to Gary Moore for bringing in good conversation, and a real appreciation to our guest, Jason Batchelder, who's the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Commissioner, for taking time to talk with us about the work behind the scenes and what it means for all of us who care about the outdoors. And as always, thank you for listening. And whether you're in the truck, in the shop, or already headed for the trail, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch this this episode and all of our episodes at WYKR.com or on the WYKR app or anywhere you get your podcasts. Until next time, keep it safe, keep it respectful, and enjoy this corner of the world we're lucky to call home. And coming up right now after this is going to be our basketball game. We got Robin Wozni on deck with Neil Emerson. It's going to be BMU versus Danville, and we're going to jump right in and hear that game. And don't forget that you are listening to WYKR FM 101.3 Haverhill, WTWN 1100 AM, and WT86DE 105.1 Wells River. Thank you so much. And coming right up now is high school basketball.